for the telephone that I put in for there. So I did 4 additionals yesterday, and then 2 of them you guys have to approve as of ARP. You're live.
Okay, let's go ahead and start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Put that up there. All right. Hope these picked up our voice. Okay, first on the agenda is to approve of the agenda. One change in the published agenda was to take off the approve of payroll distribution November 7th, because we did that at the last meeting. Okay. Other than that, entertain a motion to approve the agendas with that removal.
I'll make that motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
Motion made and second, also vote aye, carried 3-0. We have Pam then.
Yep, the only thing I have this time is the payroll benefit claims, and we only had to pay one since your last meeting for $8,128.53.
Questions, discussion?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and second, vote aye, carried 3-0.
And then did you want me to tell you about those other 2 claims so we can get those paid out?
Sure.
On the $1,800 one that we had to transfer in for you guys to approve, and you tabled that transfer at this point until we figured out something else. Mindy had gone back to the budget, and we are doing a transfer now out of reassessment to take care of that. So that'll go before the council on Thursday.
Okay.
That
So-
goes away then?
As far as from you guys,
For us.
it's gonna be taken out of the reassessment fund now, so then that'll go before the council on Thursday.
Okay.
So we still can't pay the $1,800 until the council approves the transfer. On the other one with the EMA that you questioned, actually, when I got back over to the office, the secretary up there realized also that she had put down a wrong number. So my employee did input the number that was correct on the claim, but she realized she put down the wrong line item to take it out of. So that's where the incorrection was.
So that was still a check to the Patio Steakhouse?
Yeah, and it was for a meeting
A meeting.
and stuff that they had, that they provided lunch.
The LAPC meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes more sense than equipment repair.
Yes,
Right.
and she had already caught it, and she had already had an email to us saying that she realized that that was wrong. So are you okay then if we go ahead and pay?
So do we need to probably have a motion
On
and
those.
pass that?
Yeah.
Well, the first
Just-
one's
first one
irrelevant
is
because we're not even
irrelevant,
going
right.
to
I
do
just
it.
need on the,
But to go ahead and pay that,
the EMA one.
Yeah.
$192 and something.
right, that's,
Yeah.
so I'll make that motion to go ahead and pay that claim.
Thank you.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Motion made and second, carried 3-0.
Okay, that is all I have.
All right, additional appropriation. Pam, you just want to explain them real quick?
Yeah, these additionals are from the last meeting that you guys had discussed the LED lighting fixtures for the courthouse and for the detention center, that you went with the bid of May Electric for the bids that were taken. That one for the courthouse was mentioned to take it out of the ARP Coronavirus Recovery Fund. And for the courthouse only, that was $21,719. And then the detention center part will go before the council also, but that's taken out of lit special legislation. So that's with the sheriff.
But we don't have to
Not that one.
approve that appropriation.
No,
The only
that's-
appropriation we have
Is
is.
the ARP. And then the other one is the upgrade and replacing on the telephone and the telecommunications, which it's same thing at the last meeting. It was said to do out of ARP for the county buildings, the various ones we have, $35,000 to cover that. And then also there'll be one in there for the sheriff, to the council for the detention center of $25,000 to cover theirs over in their building. But This here is to cover all the other buildings, which is the amounts that was said at your last meeting.
And it's the LIT that's used on the jail for both those. I want to bring clarity that the other 4 or 5 buildings in the county are covered under ARP funds.
Correct,
But,
right. Just the
LIT
detention center is the only one that's covered out of the lit special legislation.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why I wrote it on the thing, that it's, this one here was for the county buildings, and then the lit one was for the detention center.
With that said, that will require a ordinance change with the ARP fund. Would
It's
it
an
be
amendment.
proper to amend that first and then go for the appropriations, or appropriations with the idea that we're gonna change the ordinance? I mean, I don't see any problem with even one going through, I just, the order of things. What do you think,
You
Randy?
probably need to amend the plan, and then, because once you agree to amend the plan, then you can approve the additionals that's gonna go through.
It's kind of step 1, step 2 there, so.
The plan, and basically what said the ordinance, the plan approved by the Perry County Commissioner for the use of funds received by Perry County from the American Rescue Plan and placed in the ARP Coronavirus Local Fiscal Recovery Grant Fund established pursuant to ordinance hereby amended to provide that $21,719 of the plan shall be utilized to fund the replacement of lighting fixtures within the county courthouse with high-efficient LED lighting, and up to $35,000 of the fund will be utilized to upgrade and replace telephone and telecommunication equipment within the various county-owned public buildings. That's what this ordinance says. It just changes our plan of the ARP money. Any questions or discussion on that? I mean, I think it's what was recommended by the ARP Advisory Committee.
Yeah, we discussed this with Chris last meeting, so.
This is just the official
Yeah.
ordinance change.
Formality.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Okay, motion made second, I also vote aye, carried 3-0. Now, back to the additional appropriations, with the change in the plan then, I'll entertain a motion to have the additional appropriations that line up with the change in the ARP.
I'll make the motion for the additional appropriations.
I'll second that.
Motion made and second, also vote aye, carried 3-0. Where did, we do all have signatures on this?
Yeah, would you only do the other two sign below?
Okay. All right, we'll just take care of it. So as far as ARP then, we're up to speed, correct, Randy?
Now, it's dependent upon the council.
Right, I mean, as far as commissioner action,
We're
we're up
done. Yeah.
to speed. Okay. All right. The next thing on the agenda is the interlocal agreement for the animal shelter, and it was revamped and sent to us by Chris. It's basically the same interlocal agreement we had in the past, except for the changes of that it with River Edge Animal Shelter. And it basically says that Perry County will contribute $35,000 out of their general budget, and Tell City will give $35,000. Cannleton will give $2,500. This was an unofficially agreed upon earlier. I did talk to both mayors. They're supportive of it, and they'll have to go with prospective councils. But to get the shelter, this is the next step to get the shelter open. We have a agreement to open the shelter with River Edge Animal Shelter. We approved that contract with the contingency that we have the local interlocal agreement done. First step is the interlocal agreement is approved by the commissioners, and then it'll go before the prospective cities, Tell City and then Cannleton. So, you had a chance to review that, Randy and Randy?
Yes, I did. Chris sent it to us a few days ago, so.
Yeah, I went to Tom, and the agreement's fine. The only thing, I just now see the amounts written in here. In the contract, it's around 76,000 is what we have to pay, and this adds up to 72,500. So the other 2,500, where's that gonna come from?
No, I didn't. Well, I didn't have that math in front of me.
So I think the,
The rental for the rental income for the thing will be going to the,
Shelter also. It's going to the shelter.
going to the shelter also.
if you see what our monthly
It's 63.
payment is, 6333, something like
Yeah,
that.
6333.
Yeah, if you take it times 12, you'll be right at $76,000.
Because the county appropriated the 35,000, but then wasn't the rest of that to cover us from the rent and everything that was to what the
I mean,
renter was paying?
if the county's gonna get the rental, back into their general fund, then it
No.
probably,
The
Oh,
rental-
okay, I just got a text, I'm sorry. One of the amounts is Kennelton, that's the problem. That's the other 2,500.
okay, so Candleton's gonna pay 5,000.
Right, that was what was agreed upon earlier. Yeah. This made mistake, yeah, it was, the amount was 5,000 instead of 2,500.
Okay, so, I'm assuming the council has already appropriated the 35.
Yes.
Mhm.
Okay.
Tell City has not, but I got a verb from the mayor that he would bring it before his council, and then also with Mayor Terry too, that he would do it. He
So
could-
you're looking for approval on this. Can we do that contingent upon the other cities exercising this agreement?
It'll have to be, because this agreement is between us
Right.
and the other city.
Right.
So we approve the agreement, and then if they approve the agreement, then it becomes valid.
Yeah.
So
Right.
you won't sign the contract until this document is executed, correct?
Right, that's what we
That's what I would
agreed
think,
upon.
because that way you have your funding in place
Yeah.
from all three entities,
Yeah.
approved by their council,
Yes.
before we enter into a requirement to pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I
I'll
think
just-
that's what was said that night when we
And hopefully
approved the
we'll do
contract,
this in December then, so
according to this here.
I'll make sure it goes to the December meeting.
When will this start? Will we give the 76,000 will go to her the first of the year? Or is the contract with her gonna go, payment's gonna go to December 1st of 2022?
It says here that beginning in November of 2022, county shall pay Rivers Edge for the services rendered by Rivers Edge Animal Shelter pursuant to this agreement in the amount of $63,3333.
Right. And there's money still in the 2022 budget for this.
The county won't pay the 35,000 until, out of our budget, until January 1st.
Right, it won't be 35,000, it'll be our portion of the 63,300 per month. So I guess to answer your question, yes, it won't be paid, the 2023 budget won't, appropriated money won't be paid till 2023, but we still have money in that account or in that budget for 2022 to get this started.
Yeah, Keith makes a good point. What he's basically saying is that if we are obligated to start paying as of November 1st, then Candleton and Tell City, along with, I'm assuming there's funds appropriated, should all contribute 2 additional months
They should.
in an interlocal agreement, so that we don't sign it without them also being on board for November, December of 2022, if that's when we're going to be obligated to start paying. So,
So we could change the
Contract date.
Here's the contract.
The contract date.
Well, it seems like the best thing to do since
Second of
you've done
February.
give her the green light, she's done started.
Well, we did give her approved to start, yeah.
Start cleaning it up. I mean, there's no animals up there.
But to try to get, Tell City to, and county to pay 2 months.
A proportion.
Well, we could ask them to, but we do have money in in the line item to do it if they don't. We should, you're right, we should ask them to pay, but that's in their, if they'll have to find that in their 2022 budget. And this interlocal agreement has to do with the 2023.
Unless they've changed, it's like the county was here, we were anticipating an animal shelter opening, so that money should be there still in 2022.
I think Tell City.
Tell City, I think too.
Reviewing their city council meetings and their board of public works meetings, I think they have reallocated, took that money out. But I mean, I'm not saying they
Yeah.
don't know, they don't have the money to.
That's their issue, so.
For 2023?
No, for 2022.
Right,
There's no
but,
way.
but I'll have to ask.
Sure.
Right. Yes, Dan?
Will the shelter generate revenue, and who controls that? And is there any amount, that projected of revenue that they would?
That is according to the contract, they can generate the revenue that they see fit, and
And who oversees that?
they do. I mean, they have, okay, this is not a county-run, we are contracting them to do it, but we did give them to write in the contract to generate funds in other manners if they saw fit, and that's the only way they can survive.
But if we're giving tax money to them, wouldn't there be another thing in place to oversee the budgets?
Yes, they have to answer to the
I mean, as far
commissioners.
as the council and the commissioner.
Yeah, they answer to they give report to the Animal Control Board, and the Animal Control Board reports to the council and commissioners. On what's,
Because I don't want this to be another agency that we don't have oversight on,
no, in the contract, it said that we have oversight. Yes, ma'am?
I have a question. Why was this name changed to River's Edge? It's always been Perry County Animal Shelter.
Because Perry County Animal Shelter, that name belongs to the group of people, or did belong to the group of people that operated it in the past. They have that with the state, that nobody else can have that
It's
name.
501c3.
Right. That's theirs, and that's their name. You can name it XYZ, you can name it,
I know about 501c3.
right, so they had that name, the group of people, and they still have it. But we don't have a contract with them to provide the animal shelter. We have the contract with River's Edge Animal Shelter Incorporated. That's the 501c3 and that's what they named it.
And another question I have, why do they have to answer to the Animal Control Board? And then the Animal Control Board answered?
It's just a reporting. The Animal Control Board doesn't have control over them. It's just who they give their report to. The control still is the county commissioners and the council, because that's who the agreement is with. The agreement is not with the Animal Control Board. It's just the Animal Control Board gathers information for the
Because they were not
commissioners.
county employees. The
Right.
Animal Control Board,
Right, they have no
control.
Yeah, they're just an oversight committee.
This contract refers to Perry County, and that's one of the areas I was a little concerned. There's no specificity as to what Perry County means. Is that the commissioners, is it the council, is it a separate board?
It
I
does
mean, I
specify.
wish this girl all luck in the world, but I don't want her led down the wrong path.
Right here in the first paragraph, Randy, it says, the agreement is made this date by Perry County Board of Commissioners, called the county, and that's what it, Perry County, Indiana, and county, and that's what the word county is throughout the rest of the contract. That defines what county is in the contract. It is the Perry County Board of Commissioners.
So the Perry County Board of Commissioners has oversight on everything that happens up there? Is that your
In
interpretation
fulfillment of
it?
this contract.
And as far as receiving quarterly updates or whatever they're doing?
Yeah, they can ask, since it's a contract, they can ask for quarterly
And when you
hourly.
say they, you're saying the commissioners?
The commissioners.
Can ask for quarterly reports as
Mhm.
to the financial,
On their books. Looking at the
Just
books.
providing the animal shelter services. It is their own 501c3, and I'm not sure how much of that 501c3 reporting is public. I mean, but whatever the normal 501c3 answering to financials, because we entered a contract with River Edge Animal Shelter to provide animal shelter services.
Are we setting up another agency that will not release their books? They say everything's fine,
I don't think
so
so.
we need more money.
Well, they'll have to show reason why they need more money. I mean,
We need
and
$5.
the council has the right to say no. You know, no, we're not gonna give you any money until you tell us why. You know, so it would be to their advantage to provide as much information as they can to show that they need more, if it comes to that. Or it may be
I'm
less.
like, Becky, I hope the little gal just does wonderful, everything's wonderful in the world, but we don't want to set her up to where,
Right, but this contract does not give her, or that 501c3, the right to unlimited funds. I mean, the funds are still controlled by the council, period. I mean, the council, the city, and Cannleton and Tell City. If any of them say no, next year, 2024, we're gonna say, no, we think that you should do this, what you're doing, you should do this job for $500. Then that is what the council, and then that's what it is.
Because that was done in the past, Keith, that the animal shelter asked for a certain amount of money and the council took it in half. That's been
And they
7, 8 years ago. I
And they
remember that real
decided
clear.
not to provide animal shelter services because the council
Cut their budget.
didn't double their budget than what the previous was. So the council will still have that same power. And now if the council says, and this is just thinking out loud, and you talk about reporting, they say, well, you want an increase of $5,000 next year. Well, we need to see why. You have that right to ask. You know, and if they say, we're not showing you anything, then you have the right to say, okay, we're not gonna fund you. You know, that, back to the original, the funding is 100% the council. You know, and the council has the right to ask for whatever information they have to make that decision. You know, if they say, no, we're not showing you anything, we're not telling you what color the walls are on the inside, just being facetious, then you say, okay, then we're not gonna fund it. You have that right as the council, the fiscal body.
now, the way this contract, let me just read it to you. Submit quarterly reports to the Animal Control Board, including, and they go through the process of the animal intakes and things like this.
Mhm.
Then in another area, it refers to Perry County will only provide general oversight through quarterly reporting by River's Edge. So the quarterly reports are going to the Animal Control Board, and I think that's the reference of Perry County over here in this one, that they're gonna get them. Now, whether they share them, the question is, there's 3 entities paying for this: County, Tell City, and Cannleton. Now, am I correct? Each one of them has an appointment on that Animal Control Board?
Yes.
So, in essence, that's the representation, I'm assuming, and whoever they put on that Animal Control Board is the ones that's gonna have the information shared with them. And what their requirements are to share it with any other entity, I don't know.
But it is up to the council or the commissioners to ask that board what, I mean.
Sure, if they want to.
If they want to.
I mean,
It is well within their rights. Huh?
Animal Control Board only has 3 people.
I think it's 5, yeah.
Who appoints, where's the other two?
The council, I have to look, I think the council has two and the commissioner has two. I would
I
have to
think
look.
Tell City has an appointment, Cannleton has an appointment, the commissioners have an appointment, the council has an appointment, and who's my odd one I'm missing?
I have two.
We might have two, okay, the
I
commissioners.
thought that was correct.
Okay, so we have two, and then each one of the, because I know that, I think the council, am I right, David? I think the council has one.
I thought they had two. I would have to look.
And then I think Tell City and Cannleton both have an appointment. I think that's how it's made,
That's
but I'm
true.
not positive.
Delsey and Cannleton each have one.
I think we probably have one. I think you have two.
And
Yeah.
how long are their terms?
I think they're varied, 3 or 4 years, if I remember correctly from what I read.
They're 4-year terms,
Staggered.
staggered.
Yeah.
Some of them have, they're all 4-year terms, but they only come up every 2 years. Does that make sense?
Yes.
That's why most boards are put together. But like I said, just to ease your mind, Keith and Stan, the county council will still have all the control that they have. You know, I mean, they control the money, period. They can say, okay, we're not gonna fund that.
Is
Yeah.
there, would there be some sort of an annual audit of the books?
If-
How much they've taken in and how much they've paid out?
If you,
And that's not with the county, you know, I don't think.
it's not guaranteed, but it's well within your rights to ask for that. Okay? And if they say no, then don't sign the contract. You know, cut the funding. I mean, the council and the commissioners have control. The commissioners have control of the language, but no money. The council has control of the money. So if they don't satisfy, your 3 council members here, if they don't satisfy the council, then the council has the right not to fund it.
But if I was in charge, I would want an audit every year to say, here's my books are.
And
I think a lot.
you were elected back to the council, right?
Yes.
Okay, in 2023, when you take office,
Yeah.
then I would say it's well within your rights to ask for that.
And see, I think for your purpose of budgeting,
Yes.
you need to be aware. You know, if there's something that's occurring, and it's not just the animal shelter, that you expected the budget to follow a certain path,
Yeah.
and it's going outside of those lanes, so that you're aware of it, so it doesn't just pop up on you, and all of a sudden you've got an issue that you could have been aware of, that you've seen coming down the road, had you been provided the information. And you could have possibly addressed it earlier, rather than letting it blow up. And I think that's good, and not only with that, but with generally county government, so that we're all aware of what's happening.
I know we need animal control, you know.
No, we're talking about shelter, not control.
A shelter, but, you know. they
Yes.
get the animals
This
in the
is-
shelter, but,
But it has to
part
be,
of animal control, but,
it has to be done responsibly.
yeah, yeah.
Right.
And I'm thinking 10 years down the road, you know, I always think long-term,
Mhm.
you know, and not short-term. You know, of how this is gonna set up, and I want it to work, you know.
And- And I encourage you to, as council, to ask questions.
Yeah,
You know, and be
yeah.
open to this organization, you know, and say, hey, you're providing this service, and we're paying you this. So I got these questions, and I encourage you to ask those questions. I mean, and I think that Molly will do very well. I got a lot of confidence, and I got confidence that she will give you what you need. I mean, that's.
Who's
Yes.
responsible for
And-
the
and-
utilities?
Huh?
We still responsible for the utilities?
No, I believe in the
Or
contract.
she
It
is?
should be in there, but.
Where's that?
And if you look at what we're giving them in the 2 cities, and it's not gonna be enough to run it. They're gonna have to depend on donations, volunteers, because that's what they did in the past. That's not a big enough budget to run it the whole year. And we need to realize that. That's the one reason we didn't take it on ourselves as a county. We seen that was not an option.
The cost of food is astronomical.
Yes.
Vet bills.
Are the
And
utilities covered in that budget, in that agreement?
I think she's obligated to pay them,
Yeah.
just by memory of reading it.
Right.
That's her package.
We're looking it up for
You know,
sure.
before, I think on the shelter, there's a lot of mismanagement that went on at the shelter. As far as dollar wise.
Could have been, and hopefully that Molly will do better. I mean, I'm not gonna accuse the previous
No, I'm not
group
either.
of that at all.
That's just
I'm
my
not,
opinion.
but they decided, the bottom line was that the county appropriated so many funds to operate the animal shelter, and they decided that they would not operate an animal shelter for that amount of money. So that was the end of it, you know, and whatever they did, and I've heard a lot of stories, and I don't want to repeat any of them, but like we said, that, like Randy just said, that we don't believe that there's enough money, that this is not enough money to operate the animal shelter, but her plan that she presented to us, she plans on getting funding from other sources.
You have to have a buffer.
Right, and everybody runs a county animal shelter has funding other than county. I mean, it's not,
Yeah, she'll have fun, you know, if she has a fundraiser, we need to back that fundraiser as the county officials and do whatever we can to keep
That's
it
another
open,
question
so.
I have. There's been a lot of fundraisers, car shows, different things like that, and I know at the funeral homes that people have donated to the animal shelter. Where did that money go?
I don't know. I mean, we have no control over donations. But if she puts out there that, say, you know,
I mean,
puts a collection can at the, at a store, and it says on that, donate to River Edge Animal Shelter, then that goes to River Edge Animal Shelter. If it says, donation to Perry County Humane Society, then that's a different group, and they do a different, they provide a different service, but they don't have a contract with the county, but they spend their money on others. So, and if somebody say at the funeral homes, if somebody in their assets, in their estate, the word I'm looking for, comes up and they tell the funeral home director, okay, I want part of my estate to go to the animal shelter. Well, that's, needs to be specific by the estate, and hopefully it's sent in the right direction by the funeral home if they have control over it, if they're their power of attorney. I know that there's a lot of funeral home directors that have power of attorney over people's estates. Hopefully it gets where the person who donated it intended to go. Now, I wanted to double check the, where was that at?
I know.
What I would do is ask the funeral directors, because I've noticed that too. A lot of times it has a reference that it wants to go to animal shelter, and I think a lot of times it also states Humane Society. So I would ask them, because I doubt that it went into any specific account for animal shelter, but the Humane Society does carry out different things for animals.
I say, because the
And
only money
that's
that
probably
we
where it's
receive
going.
in is the rent money. That's the only money that I've
Yeah,
ever received.
the county's not getting it, in that respect, because we don't even have an animal shelter up until right now, so.
And have no control. Now, to answer your question, Keith, about the utilities, it is in the contract. River Edge Animal Shelter Incorporated shall be responsible for all utilities and services incurred in connection with the animal shelter. So, the answer, I thought that was, but I wanted to find the word.
Thank you.
I've got one more question on that animal shelter. A vehicle.
That's a good point. I have an idea, and I haven't brought it up to the commissioners yet. I just hadn't gotten around to it. Huh?
Could you share it with us?
I can, and I can now. The idea was, in my mind, was the old coroner's vehicle, the van, which is an open, you know, a van that could be completely clean, all the cages that fit in there, and that is a county owned, and it is under control of the commissioners. That's what that vehicle is under, that's who controls that vehicle. I would support the idea of making it available to the animal shelter. That would be that's my opinion. Of course, that's up to the Board of Commissioners.
In the Lee Chestnut era,
Mm-hmm.
there was a truck appropriated for animal control, to pick up animals, pickup truck. And the Humane Society donated hoops, cages, whatever they needed
Mm-hmm.
to go in that vehicle.
That was a sheriff's vehicle, which is under control of the sheriff, and I remember Lee Chestnut made the promise that it could be used to transport animals.
Mhm.
The money was appropriated from the animal shelter to the sheriff's department. So it became a sheriff's vehicle and was under the control of the sheriff.
And that can't go back.
I don't know where that particular vehicle is. It may be
It's
for
right here.
Yeah. I don't think it, I don't know, I'd have to check to see how you would do that, but I don't think it can, quote, go back. It is part of the sheriff's department now, and it was at that time. The money was appropriated, it wasn't bought by the animal shelter, and then it was moved to that. The money was appropriated to the sheriff's department. So once it went to the sheriff's department, it was part of the sheriff's department budget, and they bought a vehicle with it. And his statement was that he would make it available to transport animals if needed, if it was appropriated to that. So that was, now, can it be taken away from him? I honestly don't know how that would work.
I think that needs to be looked into.
Okay.
Since you're gonna take the coroner's van and possibly move it to the animal shelter, is the coroner's office ever gonna get their own vehicle, or are they gonna continue using the EMA vehicle?
Well, I can't answer that, but they're all county vehicles, and they're
understand
earmarked
that.
for,
But all you hear out of that big luxury vehicle is the issue of loading and unloading bottles. I mean, wouldn't it be better to get something that is usable?
I think it's very usable, but that's a different, I'm not gonna get into that right now.
I mean, I've talked to several people, says it's, you
Okay.
know, without the $25,000 lift, it's not even.
And that's simply not true, but I will talk to Warren about that. But to answer your question about other vehicles, there is at least one old ambulance that could be used for, designated for a coroner's vehicle. I mean, if he wants it, and that could carry more than one
Sure.
body. So, but back to that's what I was gonna propose, and I just hadn't, found it a time that I thought was appropriate, that the old coroner's van would be made available to the animal shelter or police agencies or whoever needs it to transport animals. That
How old
was,
is this van?
I don't know exactly.
I mean, I was just wondering, because is it gonna need a lot of maintenance? Is it gonna need, where would that money come from? And
Well, I don't think that it's in that bad a shape. I mean, it's not that old a vehicle.
Is there going to be stipulations put on that to where it's used for animal shelter business, or is it gonna be
I-
a riverside vehicle they can back and forth from home?
I would personally just support it used just for animal transport, not given
Just
to.
clarifying.
Right, that would be my position. It hadn't been decided on. This is the
Yeah.
first discussion.
Okay.
But my opinion is that it's not just in a vehicle given to River Edge
And it
Animal
might,
Shelter.
it might make more sense to keep it here than any officer could grab that and take it. Because the animal shelter, they got one purpose, is to house animals.
And
It's
they-
not control, it's not pickup. The officer's still gonna have to do that, so.
And there was talk of another group offering the services of animal transport.
Yeah.
And if we could provide that for them to use, but they haven't given an official proposal yet, just talk. And that would fill the, more of the gap of what we have in animal control slash animal shelter. You know, the first step is get this. Yes, Cindy, you've been,
Mine is simple. It's outside of officials. Tax dollars in, public information out. That's my question. Why wouldn't, if tax dollars is being, if it's being funded by tax dollars,
Mhm.
why would us as the public, or me as the public, not be able to get that information of where those tax dollars are going?
you should, through your councilman.
That it's not the only dollars going in, so I'd have to go to three.
Yeah, because they're the ones putting the money in. Yeah, ask the cities and the county, you know.
But that information should be here with you as overseeing, right? So I should be able to go to Pam or, whoever is the auditor to get that.
That information, their book, the River Edge Animal Shelter financial books are not given to the county. That's not, it's fact that we pay $35,000 a year and they provide the service, just like we pay, whatever we pay Glenn's cleaning service to so much money to clean the courthouse. That doesn't give us the right to their books. We're paying them so much to provide this service. Now, like Stan said, okay, I'm gonna ask you, I wanna know whatever, I wanna know as a council person before I give you $35,000 or agree to it, that how else are you funding this? That's a good question for the council person.
So we
Yes.
can't ask where this 35,000 that you're spending with?
Yes, it's for animal control, animal shelter services.
Where you're at, Cindy, is it's like any private entity or it is, if someone comes out to put the LED lights in, we're going to contract with them, they're going to put the LED lights in, we have no right to look at their books, okay? Similar with this, if they are a 501c3, they're going to be required to fill out a Form 990 breaking down all their expenses. Now, it may be in a little bigger categories than you want to recognize, but it will come up, but it generally will be a couple years behind before what you know is happening. If you want to include that in your contract, we can specifically state that quarterly numbers will be provided. And that's contingent upon us signing the contract. So those are things that we can add to a contract and keep everybody aware of it on a more current basis, but it has to be modified in order to do that. So there's not an obligation by them to provide it. Now, as Tom says, council at any time can say, we're not going to fund it. So if we, as a commission, approve a project and you won't fund it, it doesn't happen. That's within, that's the checks and balances within government. So we have to be on the same page if we're going to work through these things.
If they're not providing the service, then the commissioners have a right to end that contract. Okay, you're not doing what you said you're going to do, so we're going to end the contract. So the payment stops.
What's the difference basically between, and like I said, I'm all for the animal shelter, but what's the difference of this setup and the BCDC?
In some ways, not much.
That's what I was thinking.
Right, you're paying for a service that's,
Well, Keith, do you feel like the county just needs to run the animal shelter? Take it all on themselves? If you want that much
I mean,
oversight?
like I said, I'm all for her, and she's gonna have to make money or she's not gonna stay in it.
Because my fear was always, if the county did take it on, we'd have to have more county employees. The donations would not come in as much if it's a private organization. I believe that because it's tax money. People say, well, I'm done already paying tax money. It's the county, they owe it to us. I think you're looking at too much oversight for a group wanting to start something up.
I think, Randy.
I mean, this is huge, that we're this close to even getting one started.
I'm all for her being successful. I've offered my services to and go up there. If she needs something, I give her my card, said, call me. If I can help you out, I will. So I'm not against it.
Mm-hmm.
I just wanna make sure, I'm like Randy Cole.
These are questions that the public would ask, and it's not.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah.
This is not nothing personal or nothing.
Well, and I was-
It's questions that have to be raised and pointed out, and,
I was hoping to address, I was hoping what I was saying was addressing your concerns. Yes, as council, you have the right to say, no, we're not paying this anymore. We're not paying you, you know, or we are, you know, and it's your right to do anything. Okay, you, as a council, you're not gonna spend county tax money on something that you're not comfortable doing. You know, you're not providing the service that we, then, no, we're not gonna budget that. Or the opposite, yes, you are, so we're gonna continue to budget that. Whatever questions you ask leading up to that is up to you, the council person.
Yeah,
the
because,
thing is, I'm going back a long time ago when I was talking about, you know, the setup like PCDC. Well, you know, the commissioner signed the contract, and all the other councilmen say, well, we can't do anything with the budget. I mean, we have to go ahead and approve this because the contract's already been signed, okay? And I know, you know, the other councilman said that, well, we can't do anything because, but
Well, this is-
argument, I didn't feel it was.
Stan, you was on the council several years ago.
Yeah.
Pam, what do you call the day when everybody comes in here with their budget?
Public hearings.
Public hearing. That's a chance, they'll get right up here and ask for the, whatever they're gonna ask for that year. And that's a great time to ask those questions, what you need, what you've been asking.
Or before.
And that's just, a right that a council member's got to do, and that's their right,
So
so.
I'm just saying, you know, you sign a contract and say, well, we can't do anything now because the contract's already signed, so we have to do it, you know.
Right, but out of money that's already budgeted. Right, and I'm talking about 2024, basically. You watch this, and you already budgeted, this year's council's already budgeted 2023 for $35,000 to go to animal shelter. Okay, and that's what the commissioner said, okay, you're going to provide that, River Edge Animal Shelter is going to provide that service for the amount of money that the council has appropriated. Now, fast forward to 2024, if she is continuing to do what you feel is under the contract, that she's providing the service that she's contracted to doing, then you need to analyze whether that $35,000 for 2024 is correct or not. I mean,
Yeah.
too high, too low?
Yeah.
You know, and I don't think any of us know that now, anybody involved. I mean, we'll just have to keep a finger on the pulse. Hopefully that this will be something that will continue on, that the county, A, can afford the $35,000, B, that the $35,000 will provide the service. I mean, if there's a variance of that, then we'll see in the next several months. Yes, ma'am?
You know, getting back to the vehicle, I've been to several.
Hey, could you come up here and speak? I'm getting people out here in the audience that can't, on live streaming, can't hear what everybody's saying, so.
Yes, I've been to several animal shelters in the surrounding counties, different places. I helped run horse rescue for 15, 16 years. Let me get this straight. So they're going to open the animal shelter with no vehicle. So that still leaves it up to law enforcement to get these animals and take to the shelter, correct? Am I correct so far?
Right, this is animal shelter services, not animal transport.
Animal control.
Not animal control, not animal transport, this is animal shelter, which is a piece that needs to be.
That's the first piece that needs to be put into place.
Right.
Because if you don't have shelter, you can't have
Right.
handling.
They have no place to take them, no matter who's taking them.
Okay, because every shelter that I have visited, and talk with the directors. They have trucks, or they have a van, or they have what have you. Now, that may be the second step in what they want to do, but that should be in place, in my opinion, before they open.
I think we could make the van available in the contract. She did not ask for a vehicle when she said that she would provide animal shelter services. She did not specify that includes a vehicle. So she's going to provide animal shelter services, and has not, the only thing she's asked for is this amount. Now, will this 501c3 have a vehicle that she uses especially for that? That is up to how she operates her own 501c3. But I think as commissioners that we should make that van available for animal transport, no matter
Yes.
who does it.
Yes, I don't think it should be played, ring around the rosy with it being sitting out here, or be sitting at the animal shelter, or where. It should stay at the animal shelter, or it should stay out here.
It could be.
That should be assigned by the county to the animal shelter.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to propose.
Right.
That it's for animal transport, uses. And with all the cages that we have and all the stuff that belong to the animal shelter, belong to the county, belong to the animal shelter, that it could be equipped pretty easily.
Right, okay, I just want to get that straight.
But like I said, I haven't brought that up yet because we haven't had a place to take them yet. I don't believe that we want to transport them to Harrison County, which is because they come and get them. So we didn't need a vehicle for that.
Is this going to void the contract with Harrison County?
I don't think so. I would say the contract with Harrison County is on a case-by-case basis. So we could just not use them anymore. But I think we should leave the agreement in place in case we need them. Now, if we needed them more and it doesn't justify the animal shelter, well, then maybe the animal shelter, God forbid, would have to go. I mean, but the contract with the Harrison County group is that it's a case-by-case basis. So we're not obligated to give them any amount of business or to use them, but they're still there as a resource if we need them.
So is the animal shelter money that was budgeted being used for Harrison County in 2022? How is that being funded?
Yes,
It's
it's either
coming out of
being,
that.
yes,
It's coming out of
being
the-
paid out of there or
out of that
the
fund?
other fund. I can't remember. I'd have to go back and look.
There's
at
two
the-
funds, yeah.
So we're already spending some of the money that was allocated for a shelter for their services.
Yes.
Okay.
But also that rent money was still coming into that account too, Randy.
Yeah, but then who's gonna get the rent money? Is that the?
Chris said at the last meeting that'll still keep going into the fund that we have.
Into
rent
the
money.
county's
No.
fund?
Yeah, that's what Chris said, because he told me.
But it still
whenever I
goes
asked.
to, it all goes to the shelter.
Yeah, but it's coming in
okay.
that fund.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay,
For
so
shelter,
who's gonna receive the rent check?
We-
county.
We'll receive the rent check and we'll place it in a
It's in a
animal fund that is not committed necessarily to this contract, correct? So we're paying the
I think
$35,000 out
if
of.
there's any additional besides what was actually budgeted, we'll have to use that to help
some
make
of
the
that
monthly
funding.
payment.
Okay.
But other than that, right.
And what we're getting into, it's the devil in the details. I'm gonna tell you that. It's exactly what I spoke about at the last meeting. We're talking about a van. I don't know if it's good or a piece of junk. I don't know. We don't need another junk van on the road. Who's gonna be authorized to drive it? How's that impact our insurance with the county? What happens if it's involved in a wreck? Are those people covered? Are they not covered? Or is the county gonna pick up negligence as far as some of their action? These are the things, it's like having a hospital but no ambulance to transport you. I want this animal shelter as much as anybody wants it, but all these details will become critical. I mean, we can get it up and running, but we're gonna have a lot of things that open up here that we're gonna
Right,
have to
but right
address.
now, the animals are being transported up there to the outside cages, and then then the Harrison County group is coming and getting there. So we are fulfilling the need of providing animal shelter services at that point. Now, and you're right, devil's in the details, but it just hasn't been discussed yet. The control, but I don't want to stop everything until everything's perfect, or we'll never get anywhere. That's the problem. If we don't solve the shelter issue, then the shelter issue won't be solved. But if we can solve it, if we wait till the whole world is perfect, we'll never get anything done. We need to solve this, and we've already agreed on the contract. The only thing that we are discussing today is the interlocal agreement with the other cities. So we need, I mean, I don't care to answer the question, and answer about the accountability. That's fine. The accountability is quarterly reports to the Animal Control Board, and the Animal Control Board can report to the council, the public, or the commissioners as requested. I mean, their meetings are public too. But like I said, today, we are discussing the interlocal agreement. So,
I think the only question I've got is the 2 months in 2022. Is the county taking on the obligation to fund that 100% in the event Tell City and Cannleton don't choose to participate? That would be my question.
that needs to be, maybe this interlocal agreement should have been backed up to November. I mean, that's the only thing. I didn't catch that.
It does say November, that's what he's asking.
Oh, where's it at?
Wait a minute, it wasn't in a local agreement, it was in, no, sorry, that was in the contract.
It's in the contract, yeah. So the gap is, but there is plenty of money in that account.
Well, here on line, here in section 3, it says Tell City shall pay each. That's to the county.
Mm-hmm.
It's talking about a contract with River Edge starting January 1st
1.
through December
Yeah.
31st, 23.
Yeah,
So
I just saw that too.
that's where the,
But the contract that, or the agreement with River's Edge says the first payment's in November of 22.
right.
When does she plan to have this thing cleaned up and ready to?
I didn't hear a date. She hadn't given a date yet. So maybe that should be, and maybe we need to amend the contract to reflect that.
But the interlocal agreement is fine the way it is.
It says January 1 of 23 to December 31st of 23, the interlocal agreement does.
Right.
But it's her contract that says that first payments shall start beginning November of 22. So yeah, there is a little contradiction there between this and that.
Okay. So we'll just discuss that with Molly then. But we need to get this interlocal agreement in place.
Okay, I'll make a motion to get it done on our part and send it to Tell City and County.
I think we're going to have to, we need to pick out a date that we're going to pass something, because I think any action we take needs to be like an exact science. In other words, if we want to pick out January 1st, or we want to change the interlocal agreement to November 1st, whatever we want to do, so whenever we make that motion, that's what we're approving, rather than we approve something as of January 1st, and then we go back and change it to a different date, and we've already actually approved a document that has been changed. It's kind of like you pass an ordinance and a law, and then you come back and you try to change the wording. I think we need to have, whatever we're going to do, and it doesn't really matter to me, whichever way you want to approach it, just so that we know specifically what this interlocal agreement, what we're passing today. You know, is it starting November 1st, or is it starting January 1st? Which one is it? And how we want to deal with that.
Well, I mean, that's with their budget, I mean, their money's already appropriated out.
Tom, do you want to reach out to the other one? When's our next meeting? 1st of December?
December 5th.
I mean, if you would want to reach out to Tell City, Cannleton and that, and possibly Molly and Chris Goffnett, the attorney, to see how we can get the dates all.
I'll do that for December.
You know, so they all hang together, so the contract you're signing and the interlocal agreement and everything is on the same page. That way, if someone ever looks back at the records, they go, okay, I can see what they did and why, instead of all these different conflicting dates.
And also, yeah, I'll reach out to the mayors and Chris. and
Because
Just
then it-
whichever, however they want to approach it.
And then
Okay.
if that changes to January 1, you guys will have to amend what you want to pass on this contract, because right now you said you'll pass it contingent of signing the interlocal.
Right.
So then you'll have to make a note at one of your next meetings to change
Right.
that too.
Right.
Right, hopefully I have it all together and decide that on
Yeah.
December 5th.
Just get the dates and that, everything in order.
Okay,
So are you doing the agreement tonight, or are you waiting?
we are
I think
Tabling
he needs to wait until he gets the dates with the
tabling
other.
until December 5th.
Yeah, if you can, yeah, if they all go, and then approach them on this 2 months early pay, the November, December. Make sure that they're okay with that. I think she's up there cleaning it up, and she's putting some effort and expense into it, and probably there should be some type of compensation for all her work, and not just push her off till January and say you're not gonna get any pay till then, so.
I think that.
Something in that respect, as far as the effort she's putting out, should be compensated.
So Randy, do you want to amend your motion to table it, or what? Right now, I have a motion from you to approve for the county's portion.
I did get a text that, and then it's just a text message, nothing official, that first payment January 2023 would be fine with her, but we need to make a
Okay.
change in the agreement.
Yeah, just, if that's okay with her and she's willing to take on the burden, thank her, I mean, by all means, and then just set all the dates up January 1, you know, for all your agreements. And then you have to modify that other contract to reflect that.
Yeah.
And that might be cleaner with Tell City and County.
Right, I think it would
turns
be.
them into a new fiscal year.
Yeah.
And then you won't be,
Yeah.
because if they've allocated their monies for some other use because they didn't think it would come up, then they're gonna struggle for funding, and
Mhm.
so.
Which the funding that we have has to be spent on animal shelters. So we couldn't have moved that money if we wanted to.
Yeah, you could reallocate it if you wanted to.
Not the money that came
No.
in on rent and the
Oh,
money
okay.
that was.
Left in the account. when
Left in
they
the account.
close.
That has to be spent on animal shelter
Yeah.
services.
Okay. So that's actually by ordinance? Is that how it's?
By,
Deed restriction on the.
yeah, when it got
Transfer over.
transferred
The
over.
deed restrictions
On the building.
control the fund account, okay.
Yeah, any income from the property has to go to animal shelters.
That, they signed that whenever the deed was passed over to the county
When it
then?
went to the
Okay,
county.
gotcha.
Then there was some money in their account that got moved over to ours.
Compensation for her being up there for 2 months.
Okay, we'll work it out.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm sure.
So are
because
we
she's
still
spending
taking
money,
this?
there's no question.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And time.
She's trying, and kudos to her. I'm
Yeah.
glad
Yeah.
she took the challenge. I really am.
Okay, so I need to know what the motion is to what we're doing here.
Well, I think we should go ahead and pass this to get the ball rolling, to get this interlocal agreement to the other city. It's gonna delay it anyway. If we delay it, I don't know when their next meetings are, but they have to swallow this too.
Your interlocal agreement does say January 1.
And that's really what we want.
That's what we want.
So, I mean, if she's going to January 1, I think the interlocal agreement probably is okay,
Mhm.
contingent upon the other cities executing it.
And you
And
guys-
then we
you
just
can
have to
amend this.
modify the
This can be-
contract
Right.
To show the
start
same.
January 1st to match
And
this
if
interlocal
there is
agreement.
any compensation wanted to give to her for these 2 months, then it can just be put in here.
That's a
The actual-
that's a different subject.
That, or we can, you know, do
Yeah.
some type of, between the council, work out
Yeah.
something.
Right. So there is money in that account.
Okay, so
Yeah.
Randy K., you have a motion on the floor to approve for the county's portion, right?
Yes,
To pass this interlocal agreement
Yeah.
on to the cities.
yes.
Okay.
Okay,
Second?
and then we're contingent also upon the city signing that, right?
Yeah.
So,
Right,
I mean,
it's-
it's not an exercisable agreement until all of them
Until all
sign. So
parties
that's my
Exactly.
interpretation. Okay,
Exactly.
I'll second that.
Okay. Motion made second, also vote aye. Carried
Okay.
3-0. All right. Next thing on the agenda, Randy, you want to talk about the local assistance? and-
The only thing I wanted to do is because there is a requirement about before you apply for any grants or funding or everything, you need to go in front of the commissioners, then the council, and get approval. The council needs to be aware of it and get approval, and then you apply for the grant. This one, the local, it's what it's called, the Local Assistance and Tribal Consistency Fund, had money available, and they had the notation in there, first come, first serve. And I spoke with Chris Kaufman, and he said, well, you could apply, and then if you don't want the money, you could send it back to them if you didn't get commissioner council approval. So it was filled out. It's basically similar to an ARP fund without a lot of the restrictions. And it's for $93,000 plus in 2022, and we should get an equal check, possibly more if other groups don't exercise their rights, in 2023.
It was $93,767.94 is what we received already for the first tranche here in
And
2022.
Pam just already spilled it. So we've already got the money. So what I want to do is go through the formal approval and then ask the council also to support that so that it's on the record that we are accepting that grant. And that's what it amounts to.
So you're basically making a motion that we approve that?
Approve the application for that grant.
Okay.
And Randy, State Board of Accounts did get back with me, and it will have to be put, they've got a set of numbers that we have to use from like the ARP, so this will be given a separate fund number, probably the one right after what the ARP
ARP
was.
is.
So it keeps this separate
Right.
than our three, okay? That way it's better tracking to know what this is and where it's going.
Due to the restrictions, we don't want to get it intermingled.
Right, I mean,
Those
it was gonna
funds.
be hard, because if we stuck it in the ARP, if I put a sub-receipt account in there, yes, you're gonna know that that was separate than our ARP money coming in, but it was gonna be harder to track as far as expenses, because it was actually gonna throw into the cash with the ARP. So it would've had to done like a separate spreadsheet or something just to keep track of this separately. So they're saying that I could put it into a separate fund right under that, so that way you guys can, it can have reports ran, it can be kept tracked
Separate,
separately
outside of the- that
to
makes
know how
sense.
this is going.
Well, is this going to fall under the the same ARP plan, or is it totally separate?
I think this is separate, different
Yeah,
than that,
it's
it's got
separate.
less restrictions.
And Tom, that's the next action's going to be, it's the commissioners and the council are going to have to determine how they want to handle this money. And that's for discussion. We do have more flexibility with it, so it's just a matter that we wanted to get it, get it into the county's coffers, and now we need to determine as a government group what our intended uses for it are.
Yeah, and I guess my question will be at that point is, does this fall under a commissioner plan, or does it fall under just the normal, under the control of the council?
You
That's
can,
my
you
question.
can use it for anything.
I don't think this,
Right.
they have a plan.
The use of it is very broad. The only thing restricted that you cannot use those funds for are lobbying. You can't pay NACO dues, you can't pay AIC dues. That's the only restriction on that money.
So does it require a additional appropriation by an entity, or is it just,
You have to do an annual report to show where you spent it.
okay, but it falls under the control
If
of
you take
the...
all of that money and put it in county general, you do one annual report and say, this is where we put it.
Okay, so that's,
You can do whatever. You can leave it sit in that fund and not use it. You just have to do an annual report and say it's sitting in that
it
fund.
could be a rainy day, but it doesn't, like the ARP money, there needs to be an appropriation because it falls under the,
Right,
but if
and,
this does not, then this falls under the complete control of the council.
But if it falls under, but if it is put into county general, rainy day or like that, yes, it still will have to have an additional appropriation approved to
By-
spend,
You
because
have to
those are,
move it.
It would have to be
You
requested
have
by
to move
the,
it from that line item.
well, according to, like, if it's in county general, it just falls into their cash, so it can be requested by any department or what. But the
who
council
wants it
still
out of
has-
that?
Right.
Okay,
council still has
that's
to
what
do
I'm
it.
saying, I mean, so, all right.
What account did you put it in right now?
It's on,
It's gonna go in a total separate fund right now, which is probably right under the ARP money.
it's on account.
It's gonna be in its own fund.
But what the action Randy's asking for now, that we approve, that we apply for it.
Mhm. Yeah, yeah.
Approve the, for the acceptance of the grant,
Okay.
just so it makes it legit that we actually approved it, because that is, it's in one of the documents that I read, it has to, all grants have to be approved.
Yeah, then we need to make sure it's on the next council agenda.
So they approve it also, because they need, the council needs to take action also.
And you did make that motion, didn't you?
Yes.
Okay, I'll second that motion.
Motion made second, and also vote aye, carried 3-0. So, I mean, I-
Randy did this first.
Randy made the first motion, I
Thank you.
seconded, yeah.
yeah, yeah.
I was busy looking at the David.
So hopefully
Sorry.
the-
Still haven't changed your name yet, Randy. so.
I thought you were. They come up pretty quick, and hopefully the other counties did not take,
There was only 32 counties that are eligible
okay.
for that fund.
Uh-huh.
We're eligible for another 6 million.
Yeah.
Well, this is 186 something, almost 187,000.
Okay, what
We were
made us,
in the second
what
highest.
made these counties eligible and the others not? Population-wise or something like that?
No,
No?
You had a long list of what made us eligible.
the force.
Yeah.
Forest Service
Yeah, and
ground.
basically,
Okay.
our federal land
Yeah.
is what made us eligible of the 67,000 acres of Hoosier National Forest, which is what made us eligible.
For the higher amount.
Yeah, we got the second highest amount out of the 32 counties. Orange County got the most, and then Crawford County was right behind us at 87,517.17 for that, and the rest of the counties got 50,000. Of the 32 counties, most of them got 50,000 each year. Will this be something going forward? Who knows?
Mm-hmm.
Who knows?
Take it as we can get it, though.
But the WebEx, the Jonathan Schofield that did it, said the use is very broad. Just you cannot use it for lobbying.
That'll give us flexibility. Okay. Miscellaneous? Yes, ma'am?
Hello, Megan Jasperson with Purdue Extension. I just wanted to provide you all with our 2022 annual report. We had our annual extension night this past week and had a great speaker come down from campus, Fred Whitford. He's the director of our pesticides program, and that was really well received. We had great attendance, and just wanted to share a snapshot of what we've done this past year with your funding, and thank you all again for your continued support of Purdue Extension and our programs.
And you didn't even have to bring this report, did you?
Well, we did send it out, but always good to see
Yeah.
that. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Next meeting?
It's December the 5th at 6 o'clock.
Did you have something else?
Yes, on that December 5th, I am not available,
Okay.
really, most of that week. If there's not too much on the agenda, you guys could go ahead and handle it without me. If not, it looks like Friday, the 9th, I'd be available, or back it up to the 2nd, December 2nd. Or if it's too much trouble, I know we got a meeting later in the month, 2 more in December. Not much on the agenda, you can just go ahead and schedule it, same time, same place, I just can't be here, so.
Is anybody aware of anything out of the norm coming through?
No, because your bids, as far as opening bids, ain't until the middle of the month.
What are we opening bids for?
highway supplies and
Okay,
gas
It's
and all
right
that.
there. Okay,
But that's going to be at the middle of the month and award at the end of the month.
okay.
So as of right now, I mean, there's just the normal claims and payroll that I'm aware of unless, you guys, I'm not sure. I'm gonna be honest, I don't know if I'm gonna have time to go through all the appointments for the commissioners and the council that's gonna be available. So, somebody maybe, or either that, or you wait till after, whenever you get an administrator hired. That may
She
be
already
looked
did
into.
that. Teresa did that already and handed copies of it.
For next year?
Mhm.
Oh, okay. I
Yeah.
haven't seen
I'll
that.
have to look it up.
I haven't
Okay.
seen it either, but we
I'll
need
get
Somebody
to
to,
send
you.
that to me because I have not seen it.
Well,
we need to advertise those, put them out.
need
where-
to be advertising them right now.
6
Could you
weeks.
maybe send the
Because,
council theirs too, Tom? Could you maybe send the council theirs?
I'll
also?
look for it.
Yeah, because she sent me a list of it before she left.
Okay, well.
I assumed she sent to more than
I'll
just
have
me.
to look.
So 6
for-
weeks.
I'll look for it and
Needs
see
to
if
be
I can
going
find
now.
it.
Yeah.
Because it'll take a day or two, whatever.
Well, because I was thinking about that and kind of like, oh, that's gonna be coming up, you guys need to be aware, and I ain't gonna have time to get all that together.
Pam, do you have, I mean, and tell me, are you uncomfortable with the website? And does someone else have access? Because it'd be good just to upload those to our website. We can put them out.
Yes, I am
on the
very
street.
uncomfortable with it, because I
Okay.
am not computer
All right,
savvy.
so-
My one girl is helping me, that we're at least trying to get the appointments on there. as
Okay,
far
that's
as
my question.
positions.
Or is someone else, you know, that we can pay a few dollars just to get the stuff up? I don't know whether Anjan's capable of doing something like that, or if we have to try to encourage Teresa to get them up, or whatever we have to do.
Are you looking as far as all these appointments?
Yes, just to get them up so the public's aware of them, because I'd like to get them out, and make sure that everybody has full notice, so that it doesn't appear that, you know, we're not being transparent. And we scatter them, I mean, sending them to, if Tom's got the printout, we can send that to the news without any problem, share it with the council, and put it up on Facebook or whatever, and just to get the word out as much as possible.
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to go
I
back.
can't
and
pull up my
take a look at
emails
the
here
difference.
for some reason. so.
I assumed that she gave it to everybody.
I will talk to my employee that's been doing it to see, but she has been doing a lot of that.
Okay.
So if it comes down to it, that she could be compensated for the extra work
Yep.
that's taken her from my office to try to do this.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
And
with
if
that.
not, I'll talk to Anjan if she's not able, but she's been helping me to get
Okay.
the positions on there.
I
And
think
then we
that's
need to get it to the
expensive
news.
Go with Teresa versus.
Well, yeah, but if someone's within the auditor's office, it can pop it up for us.
Well, I
It shouldn't,
absolutely
yeah.
think it did, but I
Yeah.
mean, rather than.
It could be.
On.
But just so the public is made aware, that's what's for.
If we can get that out pretty shortly, we can still hold our first meeting of the year with board appointments.
Yeah.
I mean, within a week here.
Right.
I've got it down, see what I can do to work on it. Did you guys make a decision on the December 5th meeting? That was said.
Yeah.
If we're not doing anything, I mean,
Keep it where it's at.
Yeah.
I plain believe the word that, yeah.
I mean, I don't, you send those claims out early enough that, Randy, if there's something on there that you see
I
that
can
you're
look, yeah.
concerned.
And I can be checking
Make
emails,
mention
if
of
something
it.
comes up that day, or
Yeah.
I can get a hold of Pam or somebody, I'll call you at the meeting here, Randy.
Yeah. I mean, that way it's, we kind of stay consistent.
Sounds good.
All right.
We'll turn this off.